Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Thursday, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. Got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Thursday morning, guys. So, a really quick word. I just want to jump on this morning. I want to talk to you all about there are giants in your territory. Of course, I'm sure you've already known that by now. Anything that God promised you, anything, whatever your situation is, get in where you fit in, plug in your scenario. But whatever God has promised you, there are giants in your land. And a lot of people miss it here because the giants look very, well, they're giants. So, so a lot of people miss it here. And so they fear tend to kick in. And then they tend to feel like they don't have the support to knock those giants down. They don't feel like they have the strength to conquer these giants. But anything that God has for you is for you. So he's going to grace you. He's going to cover you. He's going to provide for you. But you just have to stay in alignment, right? You have to knock off all your distractions so you can hear, again, him telling you how to move, when to move strategically. And again, it's not to say that you won't have warfare. It's not to say that you won't have attacks. It's not to say that you won't have days where you just want to kind of sit down because it seems too heavy and you cannot attain this thing. But you got to keep pushing. Even if you feel like you've gotten knocked down, you got to get back up. You got to get back up. Most things that God has for you, especially if it's considered to be a blessing where it's going to impact people, right? Where it's purpose for you. You are going to have to knock down certain giants. So, what do those giants look like in the physical realm? Well, there can be a number of things, just depends. So I'll throw a few things in there for examples, since you guys love examples. Let's just say God have told you that you're going to be a supervisor at a certain company. And the person who's already in place, they're not doing the right thing. I mean, they're wicked and it seems like they're getting ahead. They're probably stealing money. They're doing this, they're doing that. And God have already shown you, and it's not like you yourself are trying to just get rid of the person because you're trying to do it in a fleshly way, but God have told you that this is yours. He needs you there because he's going to use you for a bigger purpose once you get to this position. Well, now the person who was in position have maybe already turned everybody against you because maybe word got back that someone's going to be promoting you. And now the person has turned everybody in the building against you. So now every time you go to work, you have people side-eyeing you. You don't even like the environment, but God is telling you to stay because there's purpose there for you and he's going to promote you, but you just have to get through this hump. But now you may feel like, well, wow, no one likes me. I don't like this feeling. It's a sunken place feeling. Every time I go to work, I ain't got time for this. I'm going to find another job. But God is telling you to stay. So you have to stay and you have to weather that storm. You have to stay. You have to deal with those attacks because a day will come where the shift will happen. And now when you're in that position, right, the people who the person turned against you, they're going to love you. They're going to follow you, etc., etc., etc. There may be purpose. Well, most likely there will be purpose that God will use you to help guide these people. That's one scenario. What's another scenario? God has promised you a home and he sent you someplace and the person who's there who can help you with the mortgage loan or whatever, it's just they don't like you for whatever reason. Maybe when you got there, you realized it was someone who was an enemy in the past. I don't know. And now you want to back off because you're like, I know good and well this person is not going to help me because they didn't like me in high school. And now I'm sitting here with them and they're going to do everything in their power to try to get this loan not to go through. And you might want to go and try to find another loan someplace else. But God has been clear. This is the place. This is the place you will be blessed. Don't run. You got to sit here. I will show you how to move. I don't care what the person is doing. I'm moving in the spiritual realm. Your job is going to have to be there to sit there and trust and believe what God is saying to you. So whatever this person is doing, you may get a call and say, hey, well, we can't approve it because you don't have enough, I don't know, W-2s in, or you don't have enough income, etc., etc. But God has told you this is the home for you. This is the place that's going to approve that mortgage. But it doesn't make sense to you because this person is against you. If you sit there and let God fight your battles, something to happen where God moves that person out of the way, That person could lose their job for something completely different 2 weeks later, and God brings someone else in who God will literally anoint specifically just to help you. But if you leave and you run away from it, then how will you ever even knock your giants out of the territory? Okay, God has promised you a certain person in your life, but they're giants in the territory. That can look like generics. That can look like what's the other word other than generics I'm thinking about that people use nowadays? Counterfeits. That can be counterfeits. That can be certain family members who hate your gut, but God told you this is your person. But you feel like there is no way in the world because, he or she loves their family. There's no way I ain't got time for this. I ain't got time for this. They're still out here doing this. They're wilding, but God has told you this is your person, right? God has told you this is your person. But see, there is something with the person that God needs you to do and complete. But now you have giants in the form of people in your way. But you don't want to press through because you feel like, I don't have no patience for this. Either you leave your family or you such and such and you do this, or you can't see that God sent me and you got these people around you and I'm trying to such and such. Okay, that you're getting too much involved in your flesh here, right? Where it makes sense in the fleshly realm, in the physical realm. Yes, it makes sense. I ain't got time for this. I'm out, period, right? That makes sense in the fleshly realm. But anytime God has called you to something, this is why you have to focus in tunnel vision, and because you're going to be hit with things like that. But your whole vision going to have to be what God has asked you to do. Your obedience is going to have to override your flesh. Similar situation happened to me, but it was in the form of business. So there was a patient I had. She's, bless her soul, she's now in heaven, but she was a wicked person, right? These are things she had shared with me after I've already not actually her stories in my book, but these are things I found out after towards the end, right, when she had given her life to God. But when I first took on the case with her, I had no idea, but the family were at odds. She had 5 children, but 4 of them were against one sibling, which was the oldest sibling. I know why, but whatever. The point is, because they were against each other, and I happened to be in the middle, then a lot of that stuff became pressure on my end, because I'm in the middle of trying to complete an assignment that I know God had me or needed me to complete, which was to help this lady repent, get herself right before God called her home. Didn't even know she was going to go as quick as she was, actually. But the whole assignment was God needed her to repent and get her life together because God knew he was about to call her home. This lady wasn't even sick like that. She wasn't sick. In her family, the ruckus they had going on with each other, and all of them were successful, very successful, but they were still on the mother's money. They didn't even care if the mother passed away the next day. They were all concentrating on her going as fast as she could so they could all get their hands on her money. Sorry, guys. This is Kizzy. Hi. Can I give you a call back in about 15 minutes? I'm doing a recording. I'm so sorry. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Sorry, guys. I'm working from home today. It's crazy. So it became so much in the... Let me tell you something. It was a whole zoo. It was a whole zoo of a situation. It was so chaotic. It was so stressful. It was so much pressure having to try to follow the assignment, yet deal with the giants, being stuck in the middle between giants. But I had to lock on the assignment that God gave me, because I knew God needed me to help this lady turn her life over to God, even though I'm in the middle of a tornado. Physically, I could have easily walked away. I wanted to walk away. Trust me when I tell you. But it got so to the point where the lady, my patient, she was in her 80s at the time. It was so much ruckus with the family that it seemed like she could only lock in on me. Things got so bad that I had no staff. My staff wouldn't even stay. But God told me, your assignment is to get her saved, because I'm going to be calling her home. You want to kill your flesh. I don't care how much you want to rise up. I don't care what you want to say. Kill your flesh, because your flesh is going to cause more things to get more fleshly, and the assignment is not going to get complete. See, it's all about your assignment. It's all about what God needs you to do. It's all about who God needs you to reach. That's the core. But our flesh is really not tame enough most times. So we're taking afflictions in the flesh and we want to clap back, and it's making things worse, but we're not locked in. So the day came. I had enough of that nonsense. And when her son came, which was the oldest son who no one liked, the Spirit asked me to ask him to come into the room with me, right? I want to just shake him. But God gave me the words to say. This is why, again, when you're connected, you got to shut down your distractions, because God gave me the exact words to say to him and how to say it. And so he was already on edge anyway, because he's so used to the others attacking him. Now he's thinking, And so once I gave him the words that God gave him to give me, the words I gave him that God gave me to give him, it softened his spirit. It's like he just kind of, whatever guards he had up, it's like you could just see that he just dropped his guards. And then everything was fine, not with him and the family, but they weren't bringing that foolishness around their mom, right? I think this was years ago. They may still be, it's a hot mess, right? But shortly after that, very shortly after that, maybe weeks, their mother transitioned. And she shared things with me that she did in her quote unquote evil days, right? And God also showed me in the process, as she was sharing these things with me, this is why her children were distant and they didn't really care. So sometimes when you see children who are not taking care of their parents at the end of life, are really not involved, sometimes you tend to want to blame the children like they're just bad children. But every mother is not a great mom, right? So for the majority of them, that was the situation. Not for all, because some could still see past certain things. But the job got completed, what God needed me to do. And she transitioned. And I know without a doubt, God sent me there for that specific purpose. And it was completed that there were some giants, and I mean giants, in that land. So whatever and I can give you probably about 20 stories like this off the top of my head, right? But for the sake of time. So the point is, whatever God is calling you to or to do, there are going to be giants in your land. Many of times it's going to look too big for you. That's going to harass your nerve. And you're going to say, I ain't got time for this. I'm out. But you're going to have to lock in on what it is that God needs you to do. So I wanted to share that with you guys. You guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.